So we got it in. The 1jz is sitting in the chassis now. I haven't filmed anything. Honestly, this was the biggest bitch because I'll tell you something. One thing nobody says anything about until it's too late. On the ma70 chassis, the firewall is actually different. So my AC is there and shit, which causes the stock twin turbos to actually hit the firewall. So you actually gotta bang out the firewall and fit it in. You probably could do it without it, like say you dropped the subframe and had like a huge engine hoist with a nice long arm or boom, whatever you want to call it, so that it would extend out further. Because the problem I was having is my hoist isn't long enough with the bumper on. I could have took it off, but if you know, that's another hour and a half just to pull the fucking bumper off. Realistically, it would have been a great idea, but it didn't happen, and yada yada yada. It's middle of winter. You can literally see leaves and snow from my car sitting. So background on this basically is this was a naturally aspirated 87 unit 7MGE manual. I pretty much drove it till I put the rod through the side of the block. And I ended up picking up like 4 more 7Ms. I have a 7M in my 86 Corolla. I love 7Ms. It's just I've had this 1J. I got this whole 1jz with the automatic transmission, the ECU, igniter, pretty much all the front end wiring from the store, everything I needed pretty much to drop it into another chassis for 700 bucks, like 6 years ago. So I had a red 240SX that I had bought off of my buddy, and basically I ended up selling it back to him. I never got around to anything, but the plan was to drop this in it, build a drift car, and just go to town. Now that sounds so cliche because everybody says build drift car, but like, I mean, like I was literally, I bought the engine before I had a chassis, and I always wanted a Mark III Supra. I've had like 9 now at this point this year. That's exaggerated, but like of Supras in total I've owned or touched, like in that sense, it's probably been about 7 or 8. So Mark IIs as well with 7Ms, like we've been through it. Most of them it's just like body work. The engines usually run until I blow them up. So yeah, here it is, my 1jz GTE non-vvti. Bloody valve covers. So blow off valve, there is a little air filter that goes here between this guy and here onto this T, and then this T fitting actually goes into this bottom hose here. This is the stock blow valve. Mine's all broken. There's still pieces inside, so I gotta clean that out. My goal is literally get the engine in and then put everything in, wire it all up, yada yada. Like I wired it up, so I'd cut plugs off one of my spare 7Ms, yellow chassis harnesses, and pretty much spliced it into this following Supra forums. The problem with that is I realized it's like my 87 unit was naturally aspirated, it was a non-turbo and it was manual, so there was some automatic wires and stuff that I really was missing. Like there's 2 wires I know for sure I was supposed to splice, and I couldn't find that wire on the plug that it was supposed to be on. So that was a bitch, because I'm not trying to spend any more money on this swap. This is probably gonna be one of the cheapest JZ swaps you're gonna find, considering I got the whole engine set for 700 bucks. I already undercut everybody else's cost by about $1,500, if not more, right there. So I bought the mounts from Drift Motion. I got the power steering line. I got a used power steering pump off of IS300. Took the reservoir off, moved it around. I actually, life hack, you guys are gonna hear this first. So I'm not running a AC, right? And on the 1jz and 2Js, the AC actually supports the power steering pump. So what I did is, I don't know if you can see that black bar here, this guy. This is actually from a 7M alternator pump. And what I did is I cut off the adjusting bolt and flipped it around, and it's like a perfect space. I don't know if you can see that. It literally bolts up to the stock, where the stock AC bracket would bolt to the block. And then it has the adjuster. So I drilled the holes to the size of the bolt so that it'd be like notches in it. Now, what I could have done is kept the adjuster on I figured this out after. I had already cut it and painted it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm already this far in, I'm putting this one on. Because I have more 7Ms. 7M, 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 transmissions, parts of 7Ms, axles, stuff like that. But and then outside I have another 7M, which is where I actually cut the yellow plug harness off. And then I have another 7M outside of my 8.6. So I like my 7Ms. I'm an M series guy. They sound fucking fantastic. But when you have a 1jz for $700, you can't just let it sit for 20 years. You gotta use it. So yeah, my money's worth out of this bitch. So till next time.